Hello fellow black people, and happy Black People History Month. Yes, I haven't uploaded a video on this channel since last week talking about black history in any regard, but I feel like being a little bit tad bit controversial this month. You black person right now watching this video, you do not support black art.
One more step and this weird thing gets it!
Don't be rash.
Now, I am saying this in a general sense, but I know everyone else support their own art in their own way. But I bring this conversation up because I have been seeing a massive influx since of recent times, since a lot of different stories are being rebooted and reshot and remade in different formats for different popular franchises, and we're getting our own variations of race-swapped characters like Black Snape. Now, I've been running into a lot of videos on my feeds in a lot of different capacities about black people, and not just black people, but a different group of people, but mostly black individuals, talking about how we need a lot more representation of black people in media and art. Now, coming from me, from someone who also is a dark-skinned fiend like a lot of you guys, I am into that idea. I want to see more black characters. Now granted, I particularly do not care about the race of the character. As long as I like the character, I like the character. I don't particularly care for their race. If their race is involved in the story and it's a good story, then cool, I like that as well. But in the grand scheme, I don't care for their race. One of my favorite characters in DC is John Constantine, and he's a bisexual white man. But also one of my favorite black characters is Static Shock. In essence, all I'm saying, the main things that matter when it comes to storytelling is the characters. It's the story, it's the art, all of the heart and soul is put into the story, and all of the racial aspects of the character come after. That is the main point. That should be clear to everyone, but I am not outside of the idea to think that people know that they want to see some characters with some variation in looks. Black characters, Asian characters, disabled characters in different varieties, because you can tell a really great story with anybody, with anybody's look, with anybody's orientation, anything. So I'm always on the look for always these unique being told stories from different perspectives, different looks, different walks of life, no matter what the artist looks like or the creator looks like. But I have been seeing a lot of people saying the same thing that I've been seeing for years. Black creators saying that they want to see black artists, black writers, black creators with black characters and black stories, and then put into the mainstream and to be highly supported. And here's the problem with that. That is not going to work. And it's not because of the racist white man or the conglomerates. Well, maybe it might be part of it. But the main thing is you. There's a video out there by this creator who's talking about when he got a question on his stream asking why there isn't a live action movie for Static Shock. And funny enough, I made a video about that years ago, or a few years ago, about 2 years ago or so, on this channel, why I think a Static Shock movie would fail. Now in that video, I did talk about the way they might adapt the movie instead of the optics of why it might fail outside of that, because I thought they might adapt the movie wrong. But they brought up a point that is very true. You guys will not go and support the movie. I know I will. I know there's a lot of creators out there that will support black films or a Static Shock film. I know I want to see a live action Static Shock film or another animated Static Shock TV show or an animated Static Shock movie or more comic from Static Shock. But the only reason why that's not going to happen is because the money is not there. There's a multitude of people who complain that we do not get these characters, but clearly it tells me that you're not looking hard enough for the stories that you want. A lot of these complaints are valid in some aspects, but then all it tells me is that you haven't been looking hard enough for the stories that you're looking for. There are animes, novels, comic books, TV shows, all from different places on different platforms, on different streaming services, in different Patreons, in different places for you to find these stories. One story that comes to my mind that I think is a really good story that I'm surprised nobody talks about and I plan to do a video on is a TV show known as Supercells. Supercells is a superhero TV show with British black creators, and it's a very dark superhero telling about how some characters who have the sickle cell gene or genome or something, the mutation that is very common in black folk, and because of them having this mutation, they have the capacity to generate superpowers because of that gene. And our main character has the ability to warp between time or timelines or something like that. Like he's able to teleport, but at the same time he's able to time travel. And you have all these characters with different abilities, and you wonder how they come together, because they don't form a team just because they're friends or they're homies or anything like that. They're complete strangers to each other. They, for the most part, don't like each other, but they come together at the very end of the story when you watch from beginning to end, and I really hope they do a season 2 of this show. Another point is that the Static Shock comic season 1, as much as I have my reservations for the comic, and I kind of gave it a little bit of a roasting in my Static Shock video, y'all guys didn't go back to it. People were excited for Static Shock to be reborn. They were redoing the entire Dakotaverse, and they have Hardware, they have Icon and Rocket, they have Static Shock season 1, they have a multitude of characters with dark skin or variations of different characters, villains, anti-heroes, and heroes with black skin, and their stories are not nearly as popular compared to other stories that are popping off. Obviously, the main stories that have been popping off as of late has been around characters like Batman, Wonder Woman, and so on, but then granted, that's like the Absolute series. The Absolute series has been doing very well. The only comic that had like a black-led character that a lot of people started to actually talk about was Absolute Green Lantern, but it was only the first issue. And that's not even including the people who are indie, people who are trying to build their audience, trying to build a group of people to love their work and hopefully to bring their art into the mainstream one of these days and actually try and to make it their whole livelihoods, and they might have to do it for years before they even get close to that point. What I think a lot of people do not understand simply is that black creators and a lot of people out there who are in the black space who want to see more mainstream black stories clearly want it to be done by the higher ups. They want to hope that the people who have the most power to do it for them, and then they can give them their chips for it, instead of doing it themselves and then working from the mud from the very bottom and building it up, or do what I do sometimes, which is go and find the art from indie places and give them a shot. Some of these stories who literally have less than 100 people buying them, less than 1,000, less than 10,000, maybe even 100,000 people who are reading their comics, are probably growing and need more time. But then there's other comics out there or webtoons or stories that are not shown in your space, but you clearly haven't been looking forward to. Another example that I've been suggested this story that I'm going to start reading soon by my boy Sloan is Ordeal, a mythical story with 99.9% black characters with superpowers and in a mythological feel, and it is one of the most popular action and adventure webtoons that is on the website, and clearly it's growing to become part of the mainstream to the point that they're able to animate their actual chapters, so you don't even have to read it. You can actually watch some of the chapters if you want to, and they want to build on top of that. When it comes to mainstream, the rule is this: something always has to start out indie before it becomes mainstream, for the most part, unless you have the biggest endorsement on planet Earth by your parents, like you got a small sum of $1 million like Mr. DT over here, or you did a Patreon and got $100,000 because you did good marketing or something like that. Doesn't really matter. To a degree, at one point in time, Lord of the Rings was a story that people just kind of scoffed at until it became a massive success. Same thing with Static Shock, same thing with Miles Morales, same thing with Icon and Rocket, same thing with a multitude of characters: black characters, white characters, Asian characters, disabled characters, gay characters, bisexual characters, all of these different characters from all these different stories. And I'm mentioning mostly comics and manga because that's what I mostly know, but then you guys can go into different places. A lot of you guys been watching TV shows, watch movies. There's probably people out there who are making short films, people who are making long form films and are trying to find funding. People are trying to get their first comic issue made, but they have to pay their artists, so they do Kickstarters to get everything started. But of course, it's not that easy. After you get the first issue out, you have to get the second one out. And also, I would have to say this: you can't be too picky on who write these stories. There's a lot of people out there who will simply say that they want these characters to be written by black characters, like black superheroes or black cool characters in comics or TV shows, but they're to be written by another cool black character or black person. But a lot of the most popular characters that we see now were not written by a black person. Take Black Panther. Black Panther was not written by a black man. Nick Fury was not written by a black man. There's a handful of characters out there who are black and are very well loved, but were not written by a black man. You can't be too picky on the people you want to write the stories. I even saw something on my feed some time ago. If I find it, I can post a little bit of the clip. It was like a short I saw on like Instagram Reels or TikTok or something about this young girl or young woman. I do not know how old she is, but she is creating a novel with a romance element to it, which I didn't really care for, but she's writing a black main character, and she was getting a lot of flack for it in her comics. And I was like, bro, this is not abnormal. There's a multitude of people out there who've written characters who are not the race that they are and write very compelling and interesting and amazing characters. I'm pretty sure there's some black people who wrote white characters that are very well loved, and a lot of you guys literally would never question it, because a lot of you guys don't care about that. You care about how well the character has been presented to you. A lot of you guys love Black Panther even before when Chadwick Boseman decided to play the role, RIP my goat, but even before he took on the mantle of playing the character, he was well loved in the comics. Storm has been well loved in the comics. Nick Fury was originally a white man, but since Samuel Jackson did his depiction in the Avengers film, he literally cannot go back to being a white man. Everybody loves Black Nick Fury. So there is a potential for your characters to be well loved because they're black. You can't just simply accept the fact that they can't be popular just because they're black. It's very much possible. But you also have to put your money where your mouth is. You can't just simply say, oh yeah, let's get all of these black characters and these black things and these black stories onto the big screen and do nothing about it. I have been sitting here paying for every volume of Monster Remake for Corey Kenshin. As soon as this man returned to the internet talking about this passion project he's been working on, the first issue sold out immediately, and people were going crazy about it, talking about how much they love it, and they were glad that he's back, and they were hoping to see more videos of him. And he's been talking about his second volume and third volume, and I have been reviewing his volumes as they come out, and I have been relatively enjoying it, and I've been very truthful and forthcoming about my feelings towards it. Is it the greatest manga on planet Earth? No, but I know good and well, even though Corey Kenshin is a dude who got bags of money, trust me, I wish I had the amount of bags that he had, but we also understand it's still a small team. It may be Corey Kenshin, he got millions of followers, but a lot of them don't really care about his comic, or his manga I should say. They care about Corey Kenshin's videos for the most part. And this is not me, clowning on the fans. That's fine. That's what you subscribe to him for. That's completely fine. You don't have to buy his manga. But you also need to understand, if you want his manga to succeed, you want him to actually put more effort into this passion project, sure, you have to understand he might slack on some videos because that takes time. We have a very finite amount of time on this planet, guys. So of course he has to make time to work on it and work with his team, so make sure that their time is not wasted either. And I was surprised to see when I just typed in Monster Remake on YouTube, I don't see very often people talking about the manga or giving their opinions on it. And you don't have to be, a negative Nancy about it. You don't have to hate on it just to hate on it, but be constructive about it, because he is someone who said he wanted to see constructive criticism for his work. He wants to see his work improve. And we only saw, there's my videos. They don't do very well, but they're there. I don't mind doing them. I actually like doing them. And then we also have World Pats, who he actually pointed out on his video as well, talking about he even looks forward to him talking about the chapters because he likes talking about it. I haven't watched them myself, but he does it. He doesn't mind talking about it. But as far as I'm concerned, there's a lot of people who just haven't talked about it. And there are very few, like there's months ago, some people talking about the manga after the hype, etc., showing how they feel about it straight on, and that's fine, that's great, and I want to see people do that. But in the last few months, as far as I am concerned, you don't really see anybody really bring it up unless you've read the most recent volume, and maybe I'm just taking my long time talking about those chapters, so it's completely fair if I'm being a little bit too overzealous. I'm not saying that nobody's talking about it, but it just, from my perspective, it doesn't look like that's being spoken about a lot. And I just felt like talking about this because I'm still working on other videos, so I had to throw in a video this week to talk about. So forgive me if this feels a little bit lazy, but in the grand scheme, it's something that a lot of you guys who are in the Black sphere don't really care about people who are trying to make these Black stories. Like, you, for the most part, from what I understand, don't care that much. Because once the work comes out, you guys will bolster it, say, yeah, let's go, I'm ready. And then when it drops, then it flops, and people wonder, why did it flop? It looks so good, it had so much potential. And then it comes out that, oh, when they first announced it, they had like 1 million views on their YouTube channel talking about their art. And then when it released, you only got like 100 buys, or 1,000 buys, or 2,000 buys, or 3,000 buys, when they're hoping they would probably get like 10,000 buys, because that's what it seemed like a reasonable assumption. But then they realize, oh, people just like the fact that they were doing it. They didn't really care for the fact to support it themselves, because they thought other people would support it more than them. They expect the support from other people. They don't want to do it themselves, because of course it forces them to actually take money out of their own pocket, or not even money, their time. You don't even necessarily have to take money out of your pocket. Their time to take a moment, sit down, read this work that is coming from someone who's trying something new, trying something from the very beginning, from scratch, to try something from the start, from zero, and see if they can make something great. But it ends up flopping, or it may not be as successful as they hope, because a lot of you guys won't let it work. Static Shock won't work in theaters because people are not going to go watch the film, or at least not as many people think they will. They won't come to it in droves like Black Panther, because Black Panther was like a cultural phenomena for millions of people, and I can see the influence of it. But I can also understand if Static Shock came into theaters, it's gonna do relatively bad. It's not gonna flood theaters. It's not gonna be the greatest animated DC film to come out that year, even if they do it perfectly. Even if they do the movie absolutely perfectly. We've seen gems of movies go in with great potential, with great storytelling, but then it kind of got shafted because of other things or other outside forces. When it comes to stories that are mainly Black-led characters or Black-led storytelling, it ends up just not hitting the goal running because they hope other people will support it themselves. They think other people will support it more. And then you start seeing other things outside of that could have great potential get pushed to the wayside, but then another Tyler Perry movie drops and then it gets millions of dollars and everyone talks about it, and people wonder why, oh, a lot of different Black people are seen in one way, and then people point to the Tyler Perry movies. I'm not here to trash on Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry, you know, he's done a lot of work for a lot of people in the film industry, even if I may not be a biggest fan of his movies. But it also needs to be understood that it is something that happens. A lot of you guys need to actually take foot into it. And I'm going to do my part a little bit. I'm going to suggest a bunch of comic creators, story creators, writers, all these different people in this video. And some of them, I have their comics already. I'm not going to tell you which ones I do, but I am going to give you the opportunity to look at their stuff, to try it out. Because some of the stuff is as low as $3. $3, not even $5. Some of it, $1. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars or tens of dollars to actually get into their art and to give it a shot and leave a review. Talk about it. Talking about it on your YouTube channel, talk about it on your TikTok, talk about it on your Instagram, leave a review on their website, whatever you gotta do. Monster We Make by Corey Kenshin. All 3 volumes are out. Y'all can check them out, but start out at volume 1. It's not the greatest manga on planet Earth, but it's an enjoyable read. Children of Thread by Dolapo Ajay. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I tried my unholy best. And this is an interesting story if you're really into magic, because Children of Thread follows a family of magic weavers who are being blackmailed into committing crimes for a mysterious organization, and their main use of channeling magic is through sewing needles. It's a really cool idea, so check that out. And guess what? It's only a little bit over $5, $6.99. Check that out, bro. We got Concrete Comics with Acolyte. It's a little bit more on the expensive side, but it's still a little bit interesting, $10. But if you want multiple stories with an expanding universe, check out Impound Comics with their very first comic with Impound, an MMA fighter who got caught in some gambling debts, who fights off the vigilante cities in that kind of capacity. But he also is in the same universe with a bunch of other characters, like a guy who's named Blasted, who's the god of ink and tattoos. Never heard that in my life, but I think it's cool, so you can always check those out as well. These guys are not black creators, but they also have some really cool comics, and I have been long overdue to review their comics because I got their comics about 2 years ago and I feel very bad for not promoting it up to this point. It's Bent Box Comics. Bent Box Comics have a variety of comics, but if you want something that's a little bit on the diverse side, we have something called Wingless. It's a wingless bird born with a deformity who fights off against evil vultures who killed his parents. A vigilante revenge story about birds is pretty cool, and they have other stories like The Last One, but one of my favorites so far that I really liked is a psychological thriller horror kind of story about a guy who doesn't remember anything, but he's fighting off this creature who seems to be connected to the future and the past at the same time, but using him as a channel, and he's manipulating him the entire time. The first issue was really cool, so check those out as well. Ooh, but I should also say this, Bent Box Comics, their most popular comic, is a really cool idea on the anti-AI conversation. So if you really hate AI, his first 2 issues of his comic Artificial talks about famous authors or famous artists like Van Gogh, who is our main character, gets transported into a world where AI evil robots who are killing art as we know it is taken over, and they fight against that threat. They already got 2 issues out, so you can check that out as well. Check out Saturday AM. They have a multitude of black comics and other comics that don't have to be black. Variety of comics from shonen mangas to seinen mangas to magazines, all that good stuff. It's a black organization with a bunch of black characters and creative characters all at once. I'm going to check those out as well, but their main popular one is Clock Striker, so check that out. Moving away from the reading stuff, there's an anime out there. It's a little bit old, but it was a decent watch. Not personally one of my favorites, but it was not bad. An anime that released on Netflix around 2017, 2018 or so, called Cannon Busters. A fantasy world where the main character has the ability to die and be reborn multiple times, and he's falling along by 2 crazy robots, and he's trying to survive the craziness of the world and trying to get back to her prince. It's a crazy story. It's cool. Check that out as well. Now here's the speed running around so we don't let this video get too long. We have City of Demons written by Parker Newman at Wise Art Comics. In fact, check out Wise Art Comics in general. They have a bunch of different comics right now, and they're currently on sale as we speak. Less than $2 at minimum. Check them out. Digital versions, read them on your computer, read them on your phone. You ain't got no excuse. I ain't got no excuse. I'ma check them out as well. And from some of the mainstream stuff, I completely forgot to talk about this earlier, there is going to be a DC comic that comes out, I believe later this year, or I don't know if it came out already, that is supposed to incorporate the Dakotaverse into official DC properly, and I believe it's called the Dakota Incident. And even so, some of the creators came out talking about saying like, hey, if you want this comic to succeed and if you want it to continue, please go buy the books, and if you can't afford it, tell somebody else who can possibly tap into it themselves and spread the word of it. And they even say, if you decide to hail the high seas by reading this comic, please at some point consider buying it and promoting it if you really like it, because it helps them to push the comic forward. So you gotta check this out as well if it's not out yet. There is also the Static Shock and Batman Beyond comic that a lot of people went crazy for, but of course it didn't really pop off. I haven't read it yet, so I don't know if I like it or not, but I'm just saying that as an example. I may not have been the biggest fan of this comic, but Static Shock Season 1, Hardware Season 1, Icon and Rocket, etc., the new Dakotaverse comics, check those out as well. And I can go on and on and on and on about all these different indie people trying to create these stories. In fact, in the description of this video or in the pinned comment below, I have created a document. This document includes all of the names of all of these indie comics, all these indie creators, and all these indie projects that are in the works of Black creators, white creators, Hispanic creators, whoever you want to look for, who are trying to put their art out there and wants to be seen and are looking for new people. If you want to check their art out, check out the description below. Look at the links. They're going to be active links, current links. I'm going to reach out to some of these creators and see if they want to add stuff to it. But outside of that, that's the main thing I want to push forward, because I want to see more creative works in the future. I want to see new types of superheroes, whether they're Black, Hispanic, Asian. I don't really care for the race. I want to see just new creators, new people to put their art on the line and to hope that they can find a new audience. Because as someone who has a similar aspiration themselves, I really hope that people would support my work as well when I decide to release them. But yeah, that's all I have to say today. Hope you guys enjoyed your Black History Month, even though it's almost over already by the time I'm uploading this. Let me know what you guys did for Black History Month. Did you support your favorite Black person? I know I did. At least I think I did. I'm my favorite Black person, if that's not obvious. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video. It helps out my channel as well to get it into the algorithm. So don't forget to like, don't forget to comment how you feel about this topic. Do you think people haven't been trying hard enough to promote these works, to put it into the mainstream, to help out these indie people, or helping out even the mainstream people to get new faces out there? Let me know your thoughts below. But yeah, that's all I got today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's your boy Kadukun. I'll see you guys next time, and peace.
FMA, handle business, don't play. On point when it comes to the anime. Jack and Daxter, ayy, let's go. The ultimate heroes, don't stop, we on the road. Kadukun. Yeah, welcome to the channel.